All right. Neil Sedaka said back in the 1960s when he returned after making some very popular songs out in Brighton Beach, Brooklyn, New York, he said, Neil Sedaka is back. I'm back. So here's the deal. Ain't no change coming. Let me explain something to you. See, the pinch-nosed Negro that he is right now, he's become the spokesperson. He is the transformative house Negro. He's both the pensioner, he's a house Negro that speaks with a pinch of nose. And all house Negroes always spoke with a pinch of nose, but this is more pronounced now. Years ago, the house Negro, if he didn't get his education from his grandmama or from the pastor of the little hut they'd go to called the church during slave days, then he wasn't educated. But now the house Negro, they've elevated him, and they now allow him to go to Harvard, Princeton, and Yale and Columbia, Stanford, and now I'll call on Columbia, right? And New York University from time to time. There's house Negro schools, right? These are schools where the Negroes go who are house Negroes, right? And then what they do, they come back and they speak with a pinch nose. And the media and the established order is very comfortable with them because they speak nicely, they speak the language. So they are pinch nose. They talk with a pinch nose. See, if you look at Elizabeth talking about George Floyd, he's a typical Negro. That boy got a pair of soup coolers on him that could cool a whole vat of Campbell's soup when he's cooking it in the fat. That boy got soup cooler. That boy got some lips on him, that George Floyd, and a nose that can lift a 747 plane. If you start blowing air out of George Floyd's nose, you won't need no jet engine. That boy got a nose on him and lips on him, and that's who Hamite people are. That's who we are. That's what we got. We don't have blonde hair. We have better lips and better noses. But see now, the pinch-nosed Negro, because you got them big lips and that big wide nose, your voice is coarse, right, like mine, right? But now, the Japheth boy, he's got a real skinny nose, right? Even the Jewish boys, along with the Italians as well, it's still skinny. So when he talks, it's a little bit more refined, and it's not as quite as hoarse, and not quite as demanding, and so it seems a bit like Britishish, like the Brits. It seems a bit cultured because his nose is a lot thinner, and the air that flows over his lips, and his lips are real thin, and almost the words almost fall off of his mouth because he ain't got no lips to catch it. But not a her brother now. When the brother talked, you said, what's a brother on the phone? What's over here? I don't know I don't know his name, but I can tell you he must be a black man. I don't know who it is, but I know it's a white woman's on the phone. So the pinch-nosed Negro, you don't want to sound like a brother. So he pinches his nose so it won't sound, so he can sound almost like he's, check out that guy, Liz Granderson, right? Liz Granderson. He got that boy got a nose bigger than George Floyd. But when he talks, well, you think you're talking to a 17-year-old white boy. This Granderson. Anyway, so just come back closer, and I promise not to, after this, I'm not going to bother y'all anymore. I used to say afflicted, but I always did afflict after I'd said it, so. Yeah, that's that George. That's that Liz Granderson boy. Get rid of him. So here's the problem. The pinch-nosed Negro, who is now the de facto leader of all Negroes, including the ones in Africa and in India and every place else, South America and the Caribbean, they have been the absolute social leading class. And their goal has been, since Dr. King, their goal has been, if we can simply succeed, now watch this very carefully, listen to me very carefully. The goal of the Negroes has been, since Dr. King, if we can succeed in politics, in order for us to get change, and ain't no change coming, if we can succeed at politics, our hope is changing the political system to our favor. Our hope, this has been the goal, this has been the religion, this has been the denomination of the pinch-nosed Negro who leads all other Negroes worldwide, is succeeding in politics. So off they went to marching. Dr. King going to see Lyndon Johnson, going to see John Kennedy. We got to, if we can succeed at politics, if we could succeed at capturing the political structure in America, that means we're home free. And that has been the mantra over the past 70 years. And that has been the spurring, every pensioner's Negro you've ever seen has pointed to that as the way for change to come. So the police brutality will stop. The massive prison complex will cease and die. The poverty level, the poor neighborhoods, the poor performing schools, the low unemployment, the violence, the black on black crime, and the absence of fathers in the homes, and all of the disease and the early childbirth and the abortion, all of that will end if we can just succeed at politics. Not morality. If we can succeed at the political structure, if we can demonstrate that our political stress and that we can be as is the Japheth man politically, then the prison and the imprisonment will stop. The beating of the young black men in the street, a shooting by police officers of the Hamite brothers in the street will stop. We won't need city houses. We won't need projects anymore. We won't need food stamps anymore, nor track phone. We will not need any of that. We won't even need the Constitution to equalize us again. If we can succeed, not at morality, not in the worship of God, but if we can succeed at politics. And so they started marching. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Oh, la, da, da, da. I never learned the song. Da, 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 da. We shall overcome someday. Arm in arm, right? Here we go. Down the street. There they go. Here we go. So the goal, the change, the goal of the fixing of the problems, stemming all the way back to Africa, the Middle Passage, is that we need to succeed in politics. So off we go. And so what has happened as a result of that? They have actually succeeded. Well, there's one thing they've done that they've been very successful at. No, they have. Do you know that the goal of succeeding or being equal in politics reached back in 2008 when Barack Hussein, the long-legged Mac Daddy Obama, became the president of the United States? The highest prize in the political boxes of America was given to Barack Hussein Obama. Now, in just a moment, I'm going to tell you that he wasn't fully a black man. And one of the things that you'll hear, like people like Colin Powell and others who didn't vote for him and ain't going to vote for Trump coming up, we'll get to that. And the reason why you still see them harking on that and accusing Donald Trump, Tribulation Trump, of saying that Obama was not an American citizen is because he wasn't. And they know that that's a flaw. Somehow or another, they wonder, they know he wasn't legit. And the reason why they keep mentioning it 12, 16 years afterwards is because they're wondering, was that the flaw that failed and caused him to fail so miserably? Because, he did nothing. And not just that, they know that he was not. And his grandmother signified the fact that his presidency was flawed because he was born in Kenya. But the thing I think I want to say, they keep talking about Donald Trump, but I never hear them say, I'm a birther. I never hear them say that Hillary Rodham Clinton and Bill Clinton were the first ones. They were the first ones for months to talk about the fact that Obama was born in Kenya. The Democrats, Miss Hillary Clinton was the first one. Trump picked it up 4 years later. They never mention Hillary Clinton. They always talk about Trump. But Hillary was the one that gave birth to the fact. Hillary is the original birther. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that, but I'm not going to let them get away. But Obama wasn't, and I think a part of the guilt that they're having now is that they're saying, Obama was trained by the CIA. He was. He was half-baked, half white. Some say half woman, half man. And it was co-signed by his grandmother. Grandmamas don't lie. Listen, Kenyan grandmama don't get up and start lying to the world. Obama's grandmama said she saw that boy, she was the midwife of that boy coming out of that little girl over there, that went over there and had him born over there in a hut in Kenya. That mama, let me tell you, that woman would not lie. She ain't gonna lie she ain't gonna lie on her ancestry. Too many Nigerians, too many Kenyan people have died, and she was not going to let the world take away from him, no matter whether he became president or not. She was not going to let the world take away the fact that he's Kenyan. We're proud Kenyans. We're proud to be Kenyan. And he's a Kenyan. But he denied his birthplace. But the world knew it. But, but he succeeded. The pinch-nosed Negro has been fighting for years to get to the presidency. They got there. But can I share something with you? All these people running around the street not talking about a change. We need change. We need change. Obama didn't. He was feckless. He was indecisive. He was uncaring. They now talk about, and rightly so, that Tribulation Trump is unempathetic. And, whatever else you might say about Trump, he don't know how to stand before people and express sympathy. The boy is missing some screws. And you can write a script for somebody, write it, he'll read it, but he ain't gonna say it. The boy is missing some screws. Trump does not know how to think about anybody but himself. He's a criminal. They asked Willie Sutton, why do you rob banks? He said, that's because where the money is. Let me tell you something about Tribulation Trump. The man is incapable of living according to the law. He can't do it. You say, well, all you got to do is train him and tell him, don't steal, don't lie, don't cheat. You can tell him that he has no screws. He has no ability to adapt to that. He's incapable. In many ways, psychologically, you ought to feel pity for him because he can't. He cannot. He can't tell the truth. He can't think of anybody but himself. He is a degenerate, a pathological one. I mean, it's one thing if people just lie. A lot of people who lie, like Lindsey Graham and Ted Cruz, well, they can straighten up and fly right if you ask them to. Trump cannot straighten up and fly right. He cannot. There's no way you can get him to do it. You put him in a straitjacket, give him some Thorazine, and that boy still won't fly right. But I think it needs to be said as well that Barack Hussein Obama was incapable of feeling the black man's pain. We should have stayed with Bill Clinton. I feel your pain. I feel your pain. No, I didn't have sex with that woman. No, Obama is incapable. And I've watched him recently, trying to jiggy with the crowd that's out there in the street. They're not talking about Obama out there in that street, marching. They're not talking about him. He is unimportant to them. He's with no tie on, trying to act like he's cool. He won't put on a tie. He got on the jacket, maybe just a shirt, try to be cool. I'm with it. I'm with the young folk. And then trying to wax eloquent. And nobody knows what the hell he's talking about. He's not relating. And the people in the street that are marching are not relating to him. They haven't called him. By the way, they haven't called Al Sharpton either. They're not relating to either of these people. And I think now the world has not realized that they made a major mistake by putting this CIA plant in the office of the presidency because he was born in Kenya. Potentially they could pass him off as black. This is a bit of a news blog we do looking at spiritual wickedness in high places for the most part, making some observations about it and giving people a biblical foundation to the way of interpreting rather than have Sean Hannity or Laura Ingraham or Janine Pirro or Anderson Cooper or Rachel Maddow or Don Lemon, Rush Limbaugh interpret what's going on in the world. You come to me and I'll tell you based on what the Word of God says. They'll just give you their worldly, sinful view. But the Manning Report will tell you what God has said, whether to say yea or nay, whether to go or to stay. You'll be led by the word of Almighty God. Come to the Manning Report on a daily basis to interpret the spiritual wickedness in high places, because there's plenty of it that's going on. And so I'm the Lord's servant, James David Righteous Rebel Manning, and I'm here to serve you with news and information.